Hello, welcome to the latest edition of the TU Sports Extra podcast. I'm Patrick Prince, joined as always by our TU beat writer, John Tranchina. John, tough loss for TU in the opener last Saturday. You and I are filming this on a Thursday, so Northern Illinois is in 2 days. How do you think TU is going to respond after what happened at Wyoming?
Well, I think they're going to respond pretty well. I mean, initially you think like after such a gut punch of a loss where you had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter and it slips away and it goes back and forth for a little bit. And, in the way it happened with your kicker who missed one field goal all of last season, missing two attempts in this game, that you would think that could stick with you. But I think the guys have a really good attitude. They're all, when we had a press conference on Tuesday and the players that came in were upbeat and like excited to get going again, feeling like, they had a right attitude, like, hey, all our goals are still in front of us. We can still do everything we wanted to, win the conference, have a winning record, go to a bowl game. Those things are not eliminated by this one loss. So they seem to have it in perspective. And I feel like they're going to come out and have a good game.
Well, and that's a good point, John, because they had a slow start last year. They opened the loss to UC Davis, not the best, and ended up with a winning record and won a bowl game. So, and too, John, in the week after UC Davis last week, they hung with a 12-win Oklahoma State team, and could have won that game, frankly. So. Yeah, I mean, if you say that you feel like they're going to rebound, evidence has shown that they can do that. TU just plays a lot of games like this. Sometimes they're on the winning end of them, and sometimes they're not.
That's true. Even after the game, Davis Brin mentioned like that he was used to this feeling of feeling disappointed and having to bounce back, and he probably was referencing that last year. And you're right, that's exactly what they did. They came back and had a strong performance. And, if it was against another opponent that wasn't maybe one of the top 5 in the country, they probably would have come out of that game with a win.
True. So I kind of feel like a career day by Davis Brin was sort of overshadowed. I know, his fumble, the fumble notwithstanding, he looked good. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He was great. He did everything you would have wanted him to do. And perhaps the biggest thing was no interceptions. That's what everybody was talking about coming in. He led the nation in interceptions last year. He didn't have any. There weren't even any real close possibilities for that in that game. He completing 30 of 52 passes, 460 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't know that you can even, fault him for the fumble, really. As much as maybe the inexperienced offensive line. So he had a great day. And you're right, he is overshadowed. I couldn't believe, the guy who won the AAC's player of the week or whatever was a quarterback who had like 250 yards. I'm like, he outgained it by 200 yards. So it was like, whatever, the other guy won. So I suppose that's where they were basing that. But yeah, he had a great day. And I agree with you. It's probably been overlooked.
I was really glad to see Isaiah Epps kind of announce his presence with a solid game. I've said this on other podcasts. I really enjoy seeing our high school stars play at our local schools.
Yeah.
We can just, because we cover high school so well. I feel like we really get to know some of these high school kids. So to see him come back from Kentucky, going to play this year at TU, good to see him get off on a good start, I felt like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like his presence there was really helpful. You had Keelan Stokes and JC Santana getting a lot of the attention, and having another guy like Epps to be able to throw to when those guys are covered because they started focusing on him, I think was extremely helpful and valuable, and allowed, TU to have such a excellent passing game because Brin had so many different players to throw to. So yeah, Epps had a really good game, 4 catches for 79 yards. You know, representing Jenks well in the local area. So yeah, that was good to see.
You mentioned the press conferences earlier, John. Give me a sense of the Philip Montgomery press conference. Was he? I mean, I assume he said all the right things, but what was kind of the vibe of that presser, and anything really interesting come out of that?
Well, first of all, the vibe was, yes, he did say all the right things. He made it basically, him and the players who were there made it seem like, you know, that game is in the past now. They're done. They're moving on. They've moved on. They're, you know, and they were in good spirits and seemed excited about the future. So that was part of the vibe was, you know, hey, all that disappointment is over. We're moving on. Probably the most interesting thing to come out of that was the fact that he still kind of refuses to even reference what's going on with the 2 running backs who are not should be on the roster or seemed like they would be playing, but aren't. Anthony Watkins and Deneric Prince, neither of whom their top 2 returning running backs from last season, neither of whom played in that game. We knew beforehand that Watkins wasn't going to, but we didn't know that about Prince, and neither of them played. Neither of them are going to play this week, and he won't reveal anything about why, if it's an injury, if it's a personal thing, if it's some other reason. So that's what stood out to me. You know, he mentioned other players who were injured during the game, and he didn't really want to give too many details about that either, but he at least acknowledged that they were injured. These guys, we don't know what's going on.
But we know they're not playing Saturday, correct?
We know they're not playing Saturday. And, you know, that could, you know, that's a concern, honestly, because the running game didn't really do that great in the game. They only got under 100 yards. It's an inexperienced group. Even, you know, Steven Anderson looked really good, and he was here last year and got plenty of playing time, but he was the 4th guy from last year. So even he doesn't really have a lot of experience as the main man. He looked good. He had 40 yards on 10 carries and a touchdown, but you know, that is a concern moving forward if you don't have those other 2 experienced guys who have shown they can do it before.
Yeah, absolutely. So Northern Illinois comes to town this weekend, John. 6 o'clock kickoff. What do we know about Northern Illinois? Give us some insight.
So they're from the Mid-America Conference, the MAC. They won the MAC championship last year, went 9-5, lost a bowl game to Coastal Carolina to finish 9-5 last season. They opened up this year with a 34-27 win over Eastern Illinois, a game which they jumped out to like a 28-6 lead in the 3rd quarter and kind of had to hold on for dear life at the very end with Eastern Illinois driving. But they look like a really good, their offense is very well balanced. They gained almost the same amount of yards rushing as opposed to passing in that game last week. So you can't really focus on one side or the other because they seem to be pretty good at all aspects of it. Defensively, they had 2 interceptions in that game, so that could be something to look for this time around, you know. So we'll see. You know, they're a strong program. It's interesting. You have Kent State playing OU this weekend, and they're staying at Union High School this week. That is the team that Northern Illinois beat in the MAC championship last year. So it's interesting little gauge for the local colleges, but they look like a strong, solid team. I think TU can beat them, but they look like a good opponent.
So this is the home opener of the season, John, and TU is going to be doing some different things to kind of enhance the game day experience. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is the tailgating scene beforehand. which starts at 1 o'clock. So you got a long day ahead of you if you're going to that. But on Chapman Commons, they have, before it used to be little tents here and there that only certain people who were part of a certain group could get into. Now it's like they've opened it up. It's basically going to be one big tent with free food and drinks, which is pretty amazing, that anybody can go in and be a part of. They're having concerts starting at 2 o'clock. There's a country music star named David Nail taking the stage at 3:30. I'm not familiar with country music that much. I'll admit that. So I'm not really familiar with who he is, but apparently he's pretty big. He's got a couple of top 10 singles that are out. So he'll be performing. There's going to be a lot of like inflatables, a rock climbing wall, an axe throwing station, and a cornhole tournament. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Really?
As well as a giant TV that they're going to be showing other games on. So, and I guess once their game starts, I don't know if they're still going to be there during the game, but during the day before the TU game, they'll have other games, whatever games are being played will be on the giant TV. So there's a lot going on there.
Okay, so I'm picturing the TU campus. Where is this stage going to be?
This is on the Chapman Commons, which I guess is like, what, a block or so west of the stadium. The big grass field over there. But there's also some stuff inside, like the big thing inside the stadium is actually there's $1 concessions, like $1 hot dogs, $1 sodas, $1 popcorn. So that's big. They also have apparently opened up more parking areas. So there's a lot more parking in general that will be available. And there's a few other, let's see, there's a team walk. That will start along 8th Street in front of the Commons and proceed to the locker room starting at 3:45 apparently.
Is this walk a new thing?
I think it is. I have not experienced that before. So yeah, just seeing that, I'm pretty sure that's a new thing. And you know, they've got it inside the stadium on the little plaza behind on the west side of the actual stadium, but inside the grounds, there's like a little replica new field for kids to play on and a bounce house there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of new elements to the game day experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it sounds interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if see how that translates to bigger crowds or not.
Right.
Okay, John, anything else on your mind today? Anything else you want to share?
Beyond that, not really. I mean, I feel like this is a game they kind of need to win. You know, I'll just go there and say that it's not a must win necessarily, but I think it's a game they need to win for their own psyche, to get over, you know, to show that they're over the last game, to show that they're on the right track and that they're going to be, that this is a team that can be successful this season, which they have shown the signs that they can be, but this is a game they need to get.
Yeah, it would have been real nice for them to be 3-0 when they went down to Ole Miss on the 24th. That would have been that, you know, so now you're thinking, well, they got 2 home games. Let's optimistically think they'll be 2-1 when they go down there before conference play kind of gets rolling. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's big. All right. So John and I are going to be talking every Thursday. You can check us out for free on Google, Apple, or Spotify. We appreciate you checking us out. And John, we'll talk next week and we'll catch up.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.